got it, and then I got distracted, and then I got distracted again. And I'm gonna come see
Kindly
you.
ask that nobody come behind the board members, everybody to this side.
No, they didn't
Move
say
your
that.
equipment, put it on this side, please.
What type of
Thank you.
public meeting doesn't have chairs
No, we moved the building.
for the public?
We moved from Pandora's Closet down to.
And repeat this, please, in my phone. I'm not responsible for this. Take this off the table, please. Take this off the table. Thank you.
Does it have to be off the table, or are we
Yes,
still
please,
allowed to
because
record
we're
it?
not responsible for this in case it falls.
Okay, I understand you're not responsible for it in case it falls.
Chair,
Richard Merritt.
we need to remove this recording device from the table. They can hold it in their possession, but not be on our table, please.
Whose is that?
That's mine, sir.
Please take it.
Is there a problem with me recording
Please
and
take it.
audio?
Please don't give
I'm-
us
I'm-
time.
I'm not-
This is our table. Could
Yes.
you move it, please?
Okay, so we're not allowed to have a recording device on your table, sir.
Could you please just take it off the table?
I'm about to take it off the
Thank
table.
you.
I just
Do
want to
that,
make.
please.
We are not allowed to have a recording device on the
Do
table.
I need to take it off the table, or will you?
I'm going to. I just want to clarify
take it off the
for the
table.
camera, sir.
All right, we have a quorum? Sorry.
Is that me?
All right, here we go. You talking about this? All right, is everybody ready? So Dr. Mulhodge is gone, so I guess I get a Yaki chair. So it's about 5 minutes after 12, August 2nd. This is the regular meeting of the Guam Board of Allied Health Examiners. We have a quorum, and then go ahead and go to adoption of agenda first.
Is anyone sitting here? Get a chair.
We need chairs here. Please, this is back.
This is a regular meeting,
Right.
so just let me know if you need any support whatsoever. Ensure that business functions is working. And
Okay. Ready to sign in, so for the record. Is there any additions to the agenda? If not, we can go to the. Take your time, and then we'll entertain a motion to.
no addition.
No additions? Okay, so I'm gonna move to accept the agenda as presented, or? Is there a second to that?
If you'll excuse me for a second.
So sorry, sir.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second?
Okay, all in favor of adopting the agenda? That's a pretty wait.
Just getting distracted.
Okay, so, all in favor of the agenda?
I just get a little nervous when I'm standing right over my shoulder.
No worries, sir. My fault.
Don't let me distract.
Board Chair, can I make a suggestion? Can you set the terms of this meeting so that your fellow board members are not being threatened or intimidated at this point with the public member?
Yeah, you know, right?
The rules?
Yes, sir.
Set some space
Just
between
give them
the,
some space, you know? We've been through this a million times.
Yes, sir. All I was letting, if I may address you, sir, was this GoPro device was not audio sufficient, so we just were leaving our audio on the table like we did for the
Yeah,
last
they did.
hearing and
Our
everything
attorney
like
already
that.
discovered that.
So I wasn't sure where the public was supposed to attend this public meeting.
Well, you're pretty
So-
public as it is.
Yeah. So I was
If
just
you
trying to.
stand still,
like-
that would be
like-
ideal.
like-
That topic is over.
Yeah.
Okay? Do you understand what the chair is asking you to do? Just
Not
step
move?
back enough?
Well, you don't have to stand perfectly still. You can cough
Do
as
you
much
feel like
as you want.
you're
But just,
meeting business?
yeah, you need to get through the business. So you're no longer part of the business. So just if you want to stand still, that's fine. Don't walk around the table.
Maybe give some space.
Yeah. How much space do you need? I'm fine with that. Okay, that's
Well,
space.
you need to ask your board members if you feel comfortable with them standing so close to them.
Civil.
About 10 feet.
Then he'll have a problem with his audio. So
I can send 10 feet back if I can leave my audio recorder on right here, but I thought that issue was already passed.
you just stand still.
Yes, sir.
If not, we'll go to the. All right? Okay. I agree. Okay. I know, we never did vote on the agenda, we were distracted. So it's been made and seconded to accept the agenda as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, review and approval of minutes from the July 5th. You all have a copy of those. Take a few moments to peruse and make sure they're right.
The one question I had about them, find the particular article. During the discussion that I had with Dr. Balahaja regarding seeking of funding.
For board members to be paid.
Yes.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah. And
I read it on the online version.
yeah.
Is there a page missing?
Here it is. Here it is.
Where are you?
Page 3 of 7, item C. Next to last paragraph, I stated I'm not in favor of pursuing compensation for the board. Waste the board's time, effort to chase something that will probably not happen. I don't think the board should be compensated, and I just wanted to get that on the record. And this chair replied that compensation for the board would be up to the director's office to decide. I don't recall that exact verbiage, and which director would that be referring to?
Public health, right?
The Director of Public Health will
Would
decide.
that be right, ma'am?
Yeah, it's public health director, but
Let's just, well, I just want to more clarify, is it the Director of Public Health, is it Director of Administration?
It would be director of public health.
Okay.
You
And,
can't really delete it because it was recorded.
yeah, no, it's fine.
He just wants clarification.
Correct me if I'm wrong, by law, we are to be paid. Is that the
Yeah, we
Article
are.
8?
Yeah.
He just stated how he
Okay.
felt about that.
Aye.
So that's just a clarification from the director, is that's not really a change.
I was just stating that since we never have been paid, and I thought seeking money from a government that is broke is just not a wise
We
expenditure
were
of public
paid in
funds.
the 80s.
A lot of retroactive.
And after that fire was discovered,
Different times.
Is there any changes to the agenda? That's not really a change, that's just.
no, just clarification. Other than that, I'm fine.
Okay. When you guys are ready, just we'll entertain a motion. If there's no changes.
Move to accept.
As written. Correct.
Second.
Yeah, as written, I'm sorry. Now that I understand.
Who seconded, all in favor of accepting these minutes as written? Say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, moving on. Old business, legal counsel's report from Assistant Attorney General Weinberg. You have the floor.
Okay. Well, this is, I don't know if this is old bit or it's continuing business. Did you want to talk about this now?
Which one you got there?
The AG opinion?
That would be open.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it is, actually. I think everybody has a copy of the July 26th legal memorandum from the Attorney General's office to the chair of the Board of Allied Health Examiners. This answers the question that, in writing, that has been out there for some time, and that is Dr. Joel Joseph's challenges to Amy Balahaj's credentials as a clinical psychologist. We did the analysis, we vetted it in-house, and the result is that Dr. Balahaja was properly licensed under the existing statutes and rules at the time that she was licensed in '85. And 13 and a half years later, the Guam legislature amended the statutes affecting the qualifications for psychologists to require that they have a PhD or doctoral degree in clinical psychology. And the question then was, is that retroactively applied to people who already have been licensed under the prior law? And our analysis is that it is not retroactive. So if she was properly licensed then, she is, assuming her qualifications and credentials are otherwise fine, but she is properly credentialed today. So I have emailed a copy of that to Dr. Joseph for the last address or two that I have with him, and to his lawyers, David Lupon, and to Mitch Thompson. I don't know if he's still representing Dr. Joseph or not still. It bounced, and I sent it to his law partner, Jim Maher, and asked him to send it to him. But it's available on the website, on the Public Health's website for Allied Health. I already checked. And it's available on the Attorney General's website under the heading legal memorandum. So I think that this matter is, as far as I'm concerned, now, and as far as the board is concerned, is closed formally.
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions on board about it?
No, I think it'd be something good to refer to if the question comes up again. It's pretty much a closed case. His opinion, it's been researched, it's done.
Was there anything else, other pending matters? Yeah, that you had questions about me? Marlene and I still have work to do on putting together the educational program. She's taking the lead on drafting up something, drafting up a course outline syllabus, and we just need to find some time and work together to refine that. And we'll announce that. It's still going to take a while. There's just so much time. We're on it.
We're on it. Good. Just to let you know, we're putting in classes such as ethics, procurement, statutes, laws, federal and local, that apply to you as a board. Is there anything else you want me to put on there? Do you guys need education on it?
Do we need procurement?
My question.
Not really,
It's in the statute.
but whenever it applies to you, you know, like if it's contracts or stuff that you have to mention.
We'll go over procurement really briefly,
Just
to give you an overview of kind of how it works extraordinarily briefly, because you all, currently, you don't do your own procurement on anything. But considering, some of my ideas that at some point it would be good to have the HPLO be autonomous, because you have costs, and as I keep, after you all of that, when I say you all, I mean all of the boards that we're serving, to start looking at budget, because things like investigators, court reporters, hearing officers, runners for service process, and other things cost money. I think it's all the boards ought to be looking. And so when you do that, then there's things like, for example, one of the things that the HPLO is working on right now is archiving the files, and trying to get the filing system in shape. And they have tons of files that are inactive, but you still need access to them. So they're looking at
ways to archive them off-site. So, it costs money to do these things, in addition to the compensation that you're not getting. Those of you who have business, running your own businesses, who can help, maybe helping with the budgetary process would be great. So that's the only part about cafeteria.
And there's a lot of stuff that we still don't know about. Like, for instance, I just had a meeting with one of the FBI agents on Guam, and she's on top of, she's here for Medicare fraud. So those are stuff that, I want to make sure that you guys understand the federal law regarding that. Because a lot of questions are coming up regarding Medicare fraud. Medicare and Medicaid fraud is where the FBI comes in. So, regarding this. Okay, so if there's anything else you want me to put on the syllabus, just let me know.
One more question for legal counsel. So we had the hearing about the summary suspension for Dr. Joseph's license. We didn't do it, but we were supposed to have a hearing. We had to come up with a date.
Well, you had a hearing, you rescheduled to the, oh yeah, okay, sorry, yeah. Yeah, well, I think the next date is going to be on the merits of, where you actually proceed, begin with the formal proceedings and the evidence. And where we left it last time was that the hearing officer was going to get together with legal counsel for both sides, Ben Abrams and Dave Lujan, and look at some dates and things like that. So maybe have a preliminary hearing or meeting among the council to determine, right, you're going to be doing discovery, or you're going to have any preliminary motions, or these kind of things. So we've done housekeeping, preliminary housekeeping. So I guess we're waiting on Ben Sisson to have that hearing.
Well, since they haven't decided on dates or times, like the dad works pretty intense schedule at FHP, at the hospital, respiratory therapy, right? So it appears that most people are more open to eat possible. Is that correct? So let's get the board's opinion on ideal times, and then we have the issue of location and air conditioning.
Yeah, I don't recommend you do it in the evening, only because there is an additional charge to turning on air conditioning unit. And when we're in this room, if you notice, there is no aircon right now. The ducts are not working in this room per se. So we would have to move it out there to that other room, which is a smaller location, and it's up to you. I'm just saying.
How about a different
evenings,
location?
Yeah.
Okay, hospital boardroom or some other agency's boardroom?
I remember at one time, the Department of Labor, which is located in
Yeah, that would be
just in the city, they had a big conference meeting. They made it available to.
That might be the same situation. GCIC would shut down there, or AC. Most of these big buildings turn on the thermostats at 5 o'clock. Because they're all in
then
one
they
unit.
charge they prorate the fee. If you take all the way up to $400.
Right, because there's really one big unit running the whole building, right?
Right.
So we have
Carrier
to
has
cool
to
the whole
call
building.
in
Just have
and
Oh,
turn
really?
it off, yeah.
Well, if you are looking at evenings, night times, my suggestion is that you just communicate that to Ben Sisson, because I think he came up with a bunch of times, and he was looking at the afternoons. I think I saw something that, so maybe, but it's just something to work out. So if you as a board think that night times or evening times is the best for you, communicate that back to Ben, and let's see what we can work out. Maybe including, maybe finding a place, maybe between him and the two lawyers, we can find a place.
I'm flexible on afternoons, only 2 days a week, Wednesday and Fridays. But I think it sounds like evenings would be good, like for you,
Well, with me specifically,
advance notice.
yeah, it's advanced notice. I mean, I can't string together 3 afternoons or 3 evenings without advance notice.
Right. I think some.
And that's just 3.
citizens should know
You're
that.
talking about 16 or 12 or, so.
And then actually, I'd like these hearings to have a time limit, start at 6. I think we need to implore the voters just to make the point. A little less history on it than we had last time. Yeah, and just get this done. Is that possible? Tell lawyers to.
You know, that's between you and Genesis and to move the parties along. And I think, you know, in his defense, Ben Sisson was probably, didn't know, he's probably got a flavor for it now. That
Yeah.
will become armed for mayors next time.
And there's one more thing for all these hearings, whether it be one we currently do or future ones. Is there a way we can find out, we're talking about this, from Judge Vergalio, what is his problem with the way we do our meeting notices? Because if we keep running into the same thing, then it's kind of less than we just waste our time, and then we find out, oh, I don't like the way you worded it, and it's all out.
Yeah, let me
So
try
I'd rather
and-
have that resolved in advance.
Yeah, let me try and address that. There's a half a dozen opinions or less from the various courts involving this board and definitely some of this board, where the court's opinions, including one from the Supreme Court involving demo examiners, where the Supreme Court says the board admitted it violated the notice provisions of the open government law. And it doesn't say exactly what. And it doesn't tell us, well, is it that the individual, the licensee did not get specific personal service, or is it something wasn't published? It doesn't tell us the specifics, the particular. That sends us, meaning the administrative staff and the lawyers, all looking back at the law.
Right.
And the law is extraordinarily cumbersome. It's one of those only on Guam kind of laws that in the beginning, when it was first written, probably in the 80s, was fine. And even to the extent that it required notice of publication of hearing notice in the newspaper when there was only 2 newspapers. And there was only 3, broadcasting stations. And it was easy, and everybody could ride their bicycle to, amongst them to get the notice out. Now we have like 22 or more broadcasting stations, and we have the money issue of publication. And so we're still working the bugs out. It seems like it ought to be really simple, and we're getting closer. It really does. I know it does. A notice for regular board meetings is different from the provision in the law on special board meetings. And although the statute doesn't say it, I get this feeling from the cases that if we're going to do a hearing involving somebody at a regular board meeting like this one, that it needs to be on an agenda, actually, that's published also. So although the law doesn't require you to publish an agenda for a regular board meeting, when we do it for a hearing on an individual, it's probably very smart to do it. And for special meetings, we know we have to do that. Have we publish the agenda of what's going to go on. And then the problem is that these cases, including the one in front of Judge Vergalio, and the one that was in front of the Supreme Court a couple of years back, they don't tell us exactly what the violation is. So one last thing on the one in front of Judge Vergalio is that I am informed that the Attorney General's office has filed notice of appeal. Ben Abrams has filed notice of appeal from that order. And I don't know the particulars of it. But as it gets put together, we'll have a better sense of at least what Ben's arguments are about why the board did not violate the open government law. And I don't know. And I cannot tell from Judge Vergalio's order what exactly did wrong.
Is it worth waiting on more hearings to make sure we get this right?
I don't believe so. I think we need to go ahead and move forward and just keep trying to triple check that we've dotted our I's and crossed our T's. And that ultimately is my responsibility, and ultimately blame the
Karen, I have to raise the question, as far as security, whose responsibility is it? Because in the past, the members, they've been threatened or they've had their tires slashed, so we don't want that. So I just want to find out whose responsibility is it to provide security. I know Highsmith has brought the AG's investigators or.
We had those nice men.
Those nice men? Well, you can't have those nice men sitting there. That's another subject that doesn't want to address actually. What's the difference?
Sometimes we have to call the police, or we have to make sure that our security, our private security is there to watch the vehicles. What do you suggest for the next series of hearings that
Are you asking me? Oh.
for security purposes?
If we have a security concern, we're gonna have to ask and see if the police department will attend and guard, or, and I don't know how that works. Or we may have to hire G4S, and I don't know how that works. It is unfortunate, but, I guess we need to look into that.
Or develop another strategy. Like, don't park here.
People wanna do violence to your vehicles, they'll find a way.
So, we'll figure that one out.
But one last thing in the report on the question of investigators. In the past, our office, my office, the Attorney General's office, has provided ancillary investigation support. And just so you know, for future, there is a protocol that it's not informal, it's pretty formal. We have a complaint against an individual that we need investigated, and it's not something that I can do in-house or in consultation with the assigned board member in-house, or we need somebody outside. Then we need a request from the chair to the Attorney General, who will delegate to the Deputy Attorney General, who will delegate to the Deputy in charge of the Civil Division of Investigators. So we have done it a lot more informally in the past, but at the Attorney General's office, it's having to tighten up what it can do, what it can do. Which again, just meant, it's gonna kind of put the highlight on the fact that, hey, how's everything? Okay, good.
Okay. Okay. Is something going on?
It's a
Or
break.
is he bothering you?
Well, as long as he's
Okay, he's fine, right? As long as he's not yelling, he's
Yeah.
fine. Okay. As long as you're not yelling. Okay. I knew it was you, but just chill.
Yes, sir.
You know.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. He's not yelling or anything, right?
No.
Okay, so he's fine.
At the moment.
Okay, who's the one that called us then? Because somebody called us.
The board staff in the office.
Okay, the board staff. Okay. Okay. As long as he's not
'Cause
yelling or
initially
hurting
there was
anyone,
some
then he's fine.
concerns that we needed some space for the members.
Oh, is he
that
fine
got
right here?
business.
Okay.
No, I moved
And he
from that
had his-
chair
Okay,
to this chair
okay, that's
because I
fine.
was uncomfortable with someone standing directly over my shoulder.
Oh yeah, no problem. Okay, I just got a call and I just
Yeah,
came to
and
make
he
sure.
had his,
I don't think
recording
anyone
device
requested
on
the police to
table.
be-
Oh yeah, somebody did request the police.
Okay.
Well, I don't think anyone at this table.
Okay, but
requested-
I just want to make sure because hey, I just came here just to find out if
Okay,
everything was
appreciate
okay.
it.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Thank you
that's
very
all.
much.
Okay,
Thank you.
I know this gentleman. And,
Yeah, no,
you know,
and I was not
yeah.
requesting. for
Okay.
any
Okay.
issue there.
All right.
Great.
Thank you, officer.
Okay.
There's no lady over my line.
Oh.
Rewind.
Where were we?
We're talking about
Security.
Yeah, well, obviously you call them, they will come. You build it, they will come, so that's nice. Yeah, oh, anyway, what that does is, it's just highlighting again that this board, other boards, we're gonna need support services that, including investigators, which is simply highlighted. I think between all of the boards, you could probably use a couple of retired RN, retired, people with medical backgrounds as actual investigators on staff or on contract to the boards to conduct some of the things that the various boards are tasked to do. So that's something to look at. Feels like you like that.
No, I disagree. I think that people with a medical background are not trained in investigation procedures. And I think that an investigator is trained more in they don't have to have medical knowledge. They have to be able to read the law and look at a situation to see if the situation is following the law.
And they can consult the medical people.
They can consult with medical people if they need to know what a word means, of course. But I don't think medical people make very good lawyers. I don't think they make very good investigators. In my opinion.
No, this is a really good point. So from somewhere, the various boards are going to need to find a way to staff it. But no, I think that's a really good point.
So for clarification, we need a request from chair to AG for an investigator. If there's a complaint.
If there's something that we think, my preferred way to, we're still hammering this out, is that if we get a complaint in, that I can look at it, and the board member generally in that discipline, will be my consultant, so it's playing against it. And then that person will be recused from being on the side, being in the adjudicatory capacity. But if there's something that we needed more beyond me, then we have to go through formal channels.
Good to know.
So that's it for you, right?
I think so. I hope so.
Okay. Well, actually, you might help us on part B. Roger Martinez, member on old business B. Disciplinary case 12-002, public reprimand. The status of that, there was an agreement signed between Dr. Martinez and the AG's office that as part of the reprimand he would do several things. One of which was to publish the reprimand with a certain size. And anyway, long story short, it hasn't happened yet. The board's concerned that he's simply not paying attention to it. He has since released his attorney. He says he's representing himself. Okay, so here's everything. So, and then the last communication from Mr. Thompson, his attorney, concerning Dr. Martinez and compliance with these the stipulations in this reprimand was that he was negotiating with his malpractice insurance to try to get them to cover the cost of the ads. And I had a discussion with the chair about that, and no insurance is going to pay for that. I think it's more of a stall tactic. And if there's a possibility that they do cover it, then he still should just, we need to give him deadlines, I'm trying to say, and if he can get it reimbursed, then that's fine. It's between him and his insurance. But to date, he has not published anything. He hasn't come up with any proof of anger management, apology letter to the woman involved. We need to make sure that got to her. I can contact her if necessary. But basically, he signed the reprimand, but nothing's happened. And so, our concern is we need to get him a deadline. Just bring most of this to closure.
Did we have a deadline when we?
I don't know. There's
In my opinion, she has more than met the requirements to accomplish prescriptive authority, and that we should look at this according to the letter of the law. I would invite further scrutiny by the Attorney General's office, especially if this is kicked back again from the medical board.
So, are they asking us just to comment on this? Or
No.
are we going to give her prescriptive authority?
She's satisfied because she got another doctor to cover her.
Right. Do we have to okay that other doctor?
Well,
They would,
actually, she has not reapplied
with Dr. Huddy.
to this under Dr. Rohadi. We've just been told
Oh,
that she has
okay.
entered into that.
So
So my-
it's not complete yet then?
Yeah, but again, my initial position was that she met all the requirements of the law, even under Dr. Saab. There's nothing in this that says the supervising physician has to have a full and unrestricted license. It's kind of a gray area in the law. But I'll go along with that.
So does it say their law?
I don't know. This is a weird thing. The collaborative practice agreement is again kind of unique to Guam, that we have a collaborative practice agreement that has to be approved by 3 different boards. This one never got to the 3rd board because medical board disapproved it, so it hasn't gotten to the pharmacy board yet. But I would invite Dr. Lighthizer to submit a new application process with a physician that is fully and unrestrictedly licensed, who will supervise her in that regard.
Has Dr. Lighthizer been informed about that?
I have not done so.
So I have a question about the CPA. So you have one, right?
I have one, yes.
So if your supervising physician was to put FHP and a new doc signs on it, does that have to come back before the board or just
Yeah.
register the change?
We have to submit additional. First off, most of us have multiple CPAs. What we have is a CPA, and then it's multiple copies of it are signed by multiple physicians. You have a primary supervisor and a number of alternates. If a new alternate arrives, yes, they have to re-sign. But what's been done is, if it's already an approved CPA, it's just re-signed and filed. It doesn't have to go through the 3-board process again.
It's just a change of supervisor.
Right. But if it's a new document or a new practitioner, it has to go through the 3-board process. And
she's the only clinical psychologist in Ireland that's applied for this. There is no
Yeah.
clinical psychologist that's applied for CPA. Restricted authority.
yeah, this whole thing was put in like right around 2002 or 3. That added the collaborative practice agreement. Because prior to that, PAs didn't have it, and in most states, PAs do not have it. We have a supervisory physician agreement, which is, in most opinions, better than a collaborative practice agreement. It's just semantics, but collaborative practice agreements are more common with nurse practitioners, another mid-level provider. But one interesting comment in here that the physician is not experienced in psychopharmacology. When we start talking about prescriptive authority, just for example, MDs, medical doctors, have an unrestricted prescriptive authority. What that means is a medical doctor whose specialty, let's say, is psychiatry, can legally prescribe antibiotics, chemotherapy. They can prescribe hormones for female reproductive issues. They can prescribe any drug. They're not specialty. It may be outside their specialty, but it is not considered to be outside their scope of practice. Mid-level providers, such as physician assistants, nurse practitioners, and podiatrists or nurse anesthetists, we are a little more, shall we say, restricted to scope of practice and restricted to what we can and cannot prescribe. We tend to follow that very carefully too. Frequently, as a mid-level provider, I'll be supervised by a physician who has a specialty and doesn't really, practice quite the same thing. So you may have in this case, someone who's working in psych who is prescribing psychotropic medications that her collaborative or supervising physician legally can prescribe, but doesn't know as much about as the mid-level provider who is specifically trained in that area. Any MD on this island can prescribe any psychotropic medication at any time and be perfectly legal to do so. But do they know as much about it as a specifically trained clinical psychologist? No. Do I? No. Frequently, if I need to prescribe a psychotropic medicine to a patient, I will confer with either an MD who is a little more versed in that area, or I'll confer with a clinical psychologist who knows more about the drug but isn't allowed to prescribe it.
So in your capacity, let's say you're seeing a patient and you see that he or she is clinically depressed, are you allowed to prescribe an antidepressant to this patient?
I am. I'm licensed to do so. What I frequently may do, and I'll just pull a name out of a hat here, but for example, I may call Pat Anglo and say, I have a patient that I want to send to you next week, and I want to put them on an antidepressant beforehand. And we'll discuss the case a little bit. I'll get a recommendation. I'll prescribe it, and that chart will be reviewed along with the annotation that I made that I discussed it with Pat Anglo. I saw the patient, I felt this was appropriate, and that's what I prescribed. If I feel comfortable with it, I'll go ahead and do it. If I wish, I'll discuss it with my supervising physician at the time. If I don't discuss it and my supervising physician reviews the chart at the end of the day and signs it, and they have a question, they'll discuss it with me again at that point. So there's checks and balances in the system. But again, my call to Pat Anglo got me more expert advice than discussing it with a supervising physician whose specialty is, let's say, internal medicine. Well, there's no dermatologist on this island. That's a whole other discussion. But anyway, what that whole thing should boil down to is that I believe there may have been some issue on the medical board with somebody whose specialty is psychiatry not wanting someone else to be able to prescribe psychotropic drugs.
Hard.
And yet, any obstetrician on this island can prescribe psychotropic drugs. So
But when it comes down to it, Ed, it has to be approved by 3 boards, right?
it has to be approved by 3 boards. But again, what we should strive for is to approve it according to the letter of the law rather than according to
Well, we should approve
Personal
it.
feelings or- thinking.
If we approve it, which is.
Yeah, and I'm recommending that, well, that we encourage Dr. Lighthizer to reapply using her new supervising collaborating position, and then we'll entertain that. And right now, there's no document there saying that Dr. Lahadi is her collaborative position. So you said that is coming?
Well, still has to go before this board.
Right.
So you guys are recommending that.
I would recommend that it come before this board with a new supervising position, and we'll go
Right.
forward again.
Well, right now, just to clarify, she has been denied based on her existing application. If somebody wants to tell her when she updates it, this board will consider it.
She was denied by the medical board.
She's denied by the medical board.
Yes.
But she wasn't approved by us yet.
She was approved by us on the 7th of June. She was denied by the medical board on the 3rd of July.
Okay. So that's between her and the medical board.
I think we're responsible for getting back to her because she is licensed under this board.
So the medical board kicked it back to us.
Yeah. And there has since been a document from the Department of Corrections, which you might want to make yourself. Copy of. No, I mean, this is one where I was saying that they point out that basically Guam won't pay for her training, and they need her to provide this service to Department of Corrections inmates, and that she has now sought an additional collaborative physician who's going to help with this.
Then she should amend her application.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So
So,
not
there's nothing we
ready.
can do with it today, but she needs a new application.
Okay. All right. Is there any other new business? Now we can move on to the miscellaneous. Some reports from the court office.
We need help.
No.
So we see
Money,
the governor
help.
advocate for staff for our office. Because I put in through the department for another secretary, administrative assistant, but we have not seen the recruitment package approved yet down in BBMR, so.
So, for instance, probably this time next year, you're going to get a whole slew of applications from the hospital. If things don't change, do you see a big bottleneck? You'd probably be moving the people building
What
the
is their
hospital.
expected date of completion?
They're talking about seeing patients in 2014.
Because
Right.
the nursing board understands that there's going to be 160 new nurses on the waiting.
Right, everybody has to come to this board.
And they don't have to go through our office, so. for those
They
are
should be the ones who are
issues
lobbying.
that are going on.
Yeah, but in order to lobby effectively, you gotta know what you need. And so I keep harping back on this. You gotta have a budget. You gotta, it's more than just, well, we need 2 more staff people that lobby does. It means the whole kit and caboodle, so that you've got a budget that you can walk across the block to and say, this is what it takes to realistically run the administrative side of this stuff and to run the other parts of this thing. And until you do that, they'll just keep tucking the budget for this particular office into the public health's budget. Well, you've done okay for the last 30 years this way, or 27 years this way. You've been all right. But at some point, when it reaches that bottleneck, you're going to want to be able to turn around and say, "I told you so." Okay, and say, "You know what? We can't process these 156 nurses applications here because we don't have the personnel. Or we can't do these background checks. Or we can't do these things." And that's why I'm pushing for everybody from each of the boards to maybe have a meeting budget, unified budget committee or something, that we can start putting these numbers down in concrete, and then we can go to, you know, Ben Hagelin and Dennis Rodriguez and others who understand this stuff. But yeah, I begin to see what you're talking about. That's just my 2 cents.
Okay, so we gotta work on that. Okay, the next board meeting is noon, Friday, September 6th, 2013. That's it. Okay, motion for adjournment. So moved.
Second.
So meeting is adjourned. See you guys in
Aye.
September.
Thank you.
So we're not sure when the hearing.
Investigators.
The lawyers and the lawyers.